just had this like cute country, like you're gonna be living in like little house in the prairie in Uruguay feel, which I didn't know that I was looking for, but apparently I was.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story. Like and subscribe for more.
Hola, bienvenido. I'm Heidi Lender. Welcome to my home in Uruguay. I'm Heidi Lender. I'm an American photographer and writer and founder of a nonprofit creative institute named CAMPO here in Pueblo Garzón, Uruguay. I was visiting this tiny pueblo of 170 people 11 years ago. I was on holiday and I stayed here for 3 nights. I wasn't looking for a new place to live, and one morning of those 3 nights, I was taking a walk. I was just starting out my photography career. So I was practicing, I remember I was practicing taking photos, and I turned a corner and I saw this tiny yellow house with it turns out that it's 80 acres behind the house on the edge of town, and I stopped in my tracks, literally gasped, and there was 5 for sale signs on the house. I ran back to the hotel and woke up my boyfriend and I said, I think I just found our new house. And sure enough, we bought it the next day. It was then over 100 years old. It had just a small kitchen and a small entryway and a garage. And over the years, I have spent just over time, over drinking with friends, over breakups, over new boyfriends, have added on piece by piece. Okay, so we just came into this tiny little foyer. This is just a little walkway in. This is actually where I keep I don't even think I should show this, but food. I bought this in Kerala in India, where I was living in Mysore for 8 years studying yoga. There was a lot of great stuff that I accumulated there while I was living there, and I ended up sending a container home with pieces like this. Okay, here's another piece from India. This is an old Hanuman that has been cracking for years, but I love it. I'm a photographer and I take self-portraits, and this is from a series that I did while I was working in a residency in Ucross in Wyoming, and it's called Under a Great Big Sky. This is another series I did called She Can Leap Tall Buildings. I think there's 13 images. That's an ode to my mom and women who do everything. So there is the dog walker and the travel planner and the mother and the organizer, and I just hung these. I have no more wall space. This is a piece that I love that used to hang outside when I lived in California. It's from Morocco. And honestly, I think that got sent to me by accident, and it came in a container with other things. I don't actually think I bought that, but we're not going to talk about that. So what I love most about this home is that I made it myself. I'm a Taurus and I love my things, and I've amassed things from as far as I can remember amassing things and traveling and having a kind of crazy eccentric life. And this house is just an expression of that. And I think there's something really comfortable and grounding for me to have all my things around me in a place that nobody else said, you should put that there, you should put this here. It's all placed very haphazardly by me. That sounds egotistical, but there's something actually comforting in just living in, creating an environment and living in your own style. Okay, so this is where you can see how the house grew. It used to be up to this line here, basically, and the whole house ended right here. And so the kitchen was up to here. It was an old gas stove pipe here. And when I first bought the house, I kept it that way. So it was just a very narrow kitchen that I then, a few years later, blew this whole out, the whole wall out. And so it feels much loftier. Actually, when I did it, I was really nervous, and it was decided one night over a lot of wine with some friends that maybe we should just punch the whole wall out. And I called the contractor the next morning, and we started work the next day, and I love it. So the kitchen is a hodgepodge of, again, things that I love. For example, this is an old O'Keefe and Merritt stove that I brought over in a container when I sent all my shit over to Uruguay. I bought it on eBay for $700, a week before we were leaving, and it's kind of the centerpiece of the kitchen. The counter is done in concrete, really rustico, really rough. And I love it. I like to see all my mess of dishes. I love ceramics. These are from a junk store in San Francisco. Moving into the dining room, I guess this would be called, which is just this long table, again, that we made out of 2 tables, and these chairs I think are from Design Within Reach. I bought them a million years ago. Lots of tchotchkes everywhere. Old Indian artwork, which I really love. It has saris, little pieces of fabric around. I have some other pieces over here, but I'm in love with that work. A photographer I love, Tom Chambers. This is his photograph, some other ceramics, things from Peru, things from India. I always have eclectic houses because all the stuff that you'll see has traveled with me from New York to Paris to San Francisco to Aspen to India. Not all of it traveled to India, but some traveled back. People have always asked me, can you help me with my home? Or what's, I like your style. And I don't have a style. And so I thought about it for years. And what I think is my style is buy what you love. Be around the things that you love. And there's no, it looks very gypsy, full of tchotchkes and full of finds from all the places I've traveled. It doesn't feel decorated to me. It feels like all my shit piled in, and there's something that just works. So I think if you have the things you love, it doesn't matter if it matches. It doesn't matter if it's too big for a space. It will all works together. I don't know how that works, but that's what happens. That's my style. So I've lived in a lot of places. I'm a gypsy at heart. I love to travel and discover new cultures. I love to feel anonymous, so especially in places where I don't know the language, which is why it's taken me 11 years to learn Spanish. There's something quieting about living far away. And I think when I was younger, for sure in my 20s, I was definitely running away from my family. And even though I love them to death, but I think I've just been on a search to find myself and find my place and figure out who I am, which is a forever journey for me. And for sure, I found it here in Garzón, which is one of the reasons I started my foundation. So what we do is we invite artists from all over the world to come here to do 1-month residencies. And we also have an annual art fest on December 28th and 29th. And we take over the Pueblo with 40 artists from around the world. We have a cafe in town, CAMPO Canteen, and a gallery, and we are growing. It does feel like one giant space, this house, except for this wall that's a beam that we needed to have here. But I like the separation. It's very cozy in here. I was just talking about maybe getting an L-shaped couch last night, which could work. The centerpiece of this room is the fireplace. It was here. This used to be the front door here. So you walked in, I turned it right away into a window and made the front door where we came in. But the fireplace is really special. And when I bought it, there was not when I bought it, it's still here, but I never used it. And you can see that this is where they cooked forever. These walls once had nothing on them, and I like, I love gallery hangs, and I'm really afraid to put art on the wall. And I was like looking at this wall forever, and I said to Heidi, just go for it. Just like put shit up there. And I didn't measure anything. And I had a friend of mine come and hang with me, and we just piecemealed it together, and I like it. I brought over a container. So I have my residency, and when you get your residency, you get to bring a container over tax-free. And so I filled it with like a lot of the stuff you're looking at, a lot of the books, I mean, all the books, all my artwork. And then that was it. So I have to like bring back duffel bags of stuff when I want things from the States. And one time I brought back like 2 of these rugs. One's in my bedroom, these sheepskin rugs that I bought for $400, I think, at Costco, and another little rug in my bedroom from ABC Carpet, and that was amazing. I obviously love sheepskin and textiles. This piece I bought in San Francisco at a great shop in Hayes Valley a long time ago when I was living in Hayes Valley. These are great pieces from another friend, Aline Smithson, who is a great photographer, and this is her mom, that she took these pictures with her mom. And this is my yoga teacher, Patavi Joyce. I used to have a yoga studio in San Francisco, and we had about 8 portraits of him and his kids that I have here now. You'll see them in a minute. Another from, I used to never hang my own pictures in my house until like the last year. I think COVID had me sitting in my house a lot, and I was like, how come I don't hang my own art? So I just hung these up recently. They're from a series that I did called A Green Dress, which I did in while I was living in Humboldt County. I love these, again, from India. They're like mirrored vintage. The frames are vintage. Deities. These are Bubba's, my dog's toys from IKEA. He's 15. This dog is 15 years old, just in case you wanted to know what those were. This is like a little special space of mine. All these pillowcases are from Rajasthan. I did a little tour of Rajasthan while I was living in India with my mom, and we had a great time buying fabric. I just came back from Marfa, Texas, where I'm bringing some people to do an event, and I bought a whole bunch of these. As again, I love textiles, and I bought a bunch of these pillowcases that I have to get. I have to get stuffing for them. These are from Garzón, Marfa, an amazing store. I used to work in the fashion industry, and I love accessories. So I like to wear something basic, and then I like to have a great handbag or great shoes or something like that. And I think now that I'm talking about this, that I also love that for the house. So things I love as accessories are books, like art books, and definitely textiles. And so I think on all of the wild places I've been, I always bring back some kind of textile, whether it's a rug or just a piece of fabric. I actually bought this, I think in the Hamptons, for example. I just discovered this great designer named Gregory Parkinson. I actually didn't discover him. I remembered him from a designer from when I used to work in fashion, and he's doing textiles now, and I just picked this up in Texas. My grandmother made this a long time ago for me, which I love. And so I don't really know what to do with my textiles, so I just kind of throw them around. I like to look at them. Again, like they just make me happy. And that's what I think, that's the best style tip that I could say is surround yourself with things that make you happy. Let's go into my bedroom. Oh, this is Bubba. This is my dog, Bubba, the old guy who's 15, who has also traveled all over the place with me. So this room has a great story. It was the old garage, so it was cut off from the house. And when I first moved in, it was just a very long, narrow, very dark, dank room that I lived in for like 2 years. So the wall was here and there was no windows at all. And one year I couldn't take it anymore. And I said, okay, I have to make some light in here. And in the meantime, we just made windows and blew the whole thing out. And it's one of my favorite rooms for sure. This is another rug that I bought in my suitcase from Costco, and another like little sheepskin with Bubba on it. Hi, Bub. That I bought here. It's easy to find in Uruguay. This furniture, so I wanted to have like a living room and bedroom situation at the same time. So I bought these pieces here, actually, the 2 chairs and this really messed up couch, which is not the most comfortable, but I'd sit here actually, but it's a great place for the textiles. And again, this table I actually bought here too. And this is the carpet from ABC that I also brought in my suitcase. This is an old piece that I bought here that happened to fit exactly where it should. And I'll show you how we kitted out. What a mess, but you know, it works. And this is all for hanging. And I used to have my desk here in this space, but I moved that to my new studio and had a carpenter copy the same piece over here, and I like the way it turned out. So this is my studio. This is a mosquito door system that I invented with the metal guy I work with, who's made all my doors and windows. He's super creative, and this is not the first time that we've come up with some kind of cockamamie idea that actually works really well. So I really like rusty old things. It is above the garage. It's the last thing I think I built. It's kind of a dream space for me. I don't get up here enough. This is a desk from the 50s that I bought in Uruguay. That used to be in my bedroom. These are designed within reach shelves that I've had since I lived in San Francisco since 2005, I think. That was the first time I put them long, and they used to be up high, and they're, you can make them in any shape you want, and I love this iteration of them the best. Let's just look at these because I love them. These are old, like Kama Sutra perfume bottles. I'm sorry, I haven't got my nails done. I live in the middle of nowhere, so that's what happens with manicures. These chairs that need to be recovered, I bought in a San Francisco junk shop on Divisadero and had them recovered. They're old Eames chairs. They're actually I bought them before Mad Men, but they're actually on Mad Men. I was happy to see them there. This is a very famous chair that is from my great aunt Sally, who like my brother and sister and I all lived in her apartment in New York, and I'm the oldest, so I was the first one that lived there, and she had this in an ottoman, and I recovered it when I was like 22 in this fabric. So it's super worn, and I don't know why I got rid of the ottoman, but I did, and that's a bummer, and nobody likes this chair, but I love it the most. Okay, I think that's it. Thanks for coming and joining me in my place in Pueblo Garzón, Uruguay.
Thanks for watching. For more home-worthy content, be sure to like and subscribe.